Good afternoon. It's the news at 12 on MITV Plus. I am Sebastian Salifo. In a major leap for West Africa's digital landscape, Vice President Kashim Shettima joined the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and the Tertiary Education Trust Fund yesterday to officially launch the Artificial Intelligence University Innovation Pod, UNIPOD, at the University of Lagos. The initiative marks a strategic shift towards a knowledge-based economy aiming to turn academic research into commercially viable artificial intelligence AI-driven solutions. Representing the Vice President, the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Hassan, emphasized that the Unipod is more than just a facility, it is a launchpad for national transformation. The Vice President stressed that Nigeria must not remain passive in the unfolding global AI revolution. He expressed confidence in Nigeria's capacity to lead Africa in AI, citing ongoing investments in digital public infrastructure, innovation ecosystems, and responsible AI governance. Several homes have been reportedly burned down as suspected terrorists killed no fewer than 5 persons and abducted several residents during an attack on the Baga community in Shiroro local government area of Niger State. The attackers stormed the community in the early hours of Tuesday, forcing villagers to flee for safety as houses were set ablaze. A resident who spoke on condition of anonymity disclosed that over 160 armed men invaded the community using explosives to destroy properties. It was further gathered that at least 8 members of the local vigilante group sustained injuries while attempting to repel the attackers, but were overwhelmed by the superior firepower of the assailants. The injured victims are currently receiving treatment at a medical facility. Nigeria ranked 12th among foreign countries filing cybercrime complaints with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center in 2025, with 1,219 reports submitted. This comes as global cybercrime losses surpassed $20 billion for the first time. The FBI's IC3 2025 annual report, released to mark the center's 25th anniversary, recorded 1,008,597 complaints from victims worldwide, representing total losses of $20.877 billion, a 26% increase from 2024's $16.6 billion. Canada led foreign complainants with 7,479 reports, followed by India 5,879, Japan 5,764, and the United Kingdom 4,106. Nigeria's 1,219 complaints placed it behind Pakistan 1,514, but ahead of Greece 1,205 and Iran 1,101. The report identified Nigeria among the countries frequently receiving fraudulent wire transfers. Hong Kong's topped the list with 1,858 transactions, followed by Mexico 1,782, Indonesia 1,685, Vietnam 1,583, and the Philippines 1,538. The Kabiru Tanimu Turaki-led People's Democratic Party, PDP, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to urgently clarify allegations that senior officials of the commission received land and cash gifts from the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. In a statement issued by its National Publicity Secretary, Ini Ememebong, the opposition party expressed concern over reports that the minister allegedly offered land allocations and financial benefits to top officials of the electoral body, describing the development as disturbing and worrisome. The party noted that media reports in this past week had been replete with claims of such inducements, adding that a subsequent report quoted Mohammed Kudu Aruna, supervising national commissioner for the FCT, as acknowledging the receipt of land allocation. The Lagos State government has announced temporary road closures across major corridors in the state ahead of the inauguration of critical infrastructure projects scheduled for April 8 and 9, 2026, urging motorists to plan alternative routes to avoid traffic disruptions. In a travel advisory issued by the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation and obtained by The Punch, the government said the restrictions are necessary to ensure safety and smooth movement during the commissioning activities. The Commissioner for Transportation, Oluwaseun CME, said the partial closures would affect key locations in Ikeja, Ojota, Ajegunle, and Victoria Island as the state prepares to inaugurate major projects. It added that the temporary traffic restrictions were aimed at maintaining order and ensuring the safety of residents and participants during the event. On business news, the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in charge of economic policy, Mohammed Abdullahi, has announced that the bank is considering the recapitalization and restructuring of development finance institutions, DFIs, to address the significant financing gap facing micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. The Deputy Governor disclosed this during a panel session in the launch of the Nigerian Development Update by the World Bank in Abuja on Tuesday. He explained that a recent review by the Apex Bank found that existing DFIs were too small to meet the credit needs of businesses. Meanwhile, the federal government has unveiled plans to introduce a mass savings scheme aimed at reducing reliance on borrowing and expanding domestic investment. The Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, who also spoke at the launch of the Nigeria Development Update, noted that the initiative will enable Nigerians across income levels to invest and earn returns while supporting economic growth. On the foreign news, Donald Trump says he agrees to a proposed 2-week ceasefire between the US and Iran if shipping traffic is allowed to move through the Strait of Hormuz. In response, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says Tehran will agree to end in fighting if attacks against Iran are halted. Meanwhile, Israel says it supports Trump's decision to suspend strikes on Iran, but the 2-week ceasefire does not include Lebanon. But Pakistan's Prime Minister says it does. The ceasefire came just over an hour before Trump's 20:00 EDT, 1:00 BST deadline for Iran to make a deal, or else a whole civilization will die. Pakistan, which has been acting as a mediator, has invited both sides for talks in Islamabad on Friday. Oil prices have fallen sharply since the announcement of the ceasefire, now trading well under $100 a barrel. Crowds of people gathered in the Tehran, waving flags and chanting after the US and Iran announced a 2-week conditional ceasefire. Iran agreed to allow safe passage for ships through the Strait of Hormuz if the US stops its attacks. The ceasefire comes more than a month after Israel and the US launched attacks on Iran, which led to Iran striking locations throughout the Gulf. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif mediated the negotiations, saying the ceasefire was effective immediately. Now on sport news. CAF President Motsepe visits Senegal on peace mission. CAF President Patrice Motsepe is due in Senegal today on a visit that feels anything but routine. Reports InsideWorldFootball.com. Motsepe says it's about strengthening ties with one of Africa's leading football nations. In reality, it comes with a fair amount to unpack. Motsepe will be received in Dakar by Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye before sitting down with Senegalese FSF Chief Abdoulaye Fall, with talks expected to range from infrastructure and development projects to the small matter of the 2025 AFCON final almost 3 months ago. The African Confederation has formally stripped the title from Senegal, but the FSF has officially appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and is awaiting the outcome. Diaz-Kane gave Bayern Champions League edge over Real Madrid. Luis Diaz and Harry Kane scored the goals that gave dominant Bayern Munich a crucial 2-1 Champions League quarter-final first-leg win away to Real Madrid on Tuesday. Kylian Mbappe's strike 16 minutes from time gave record 15 times winner Real a lifeline at the Bernabeu home in a gripping battle. Vincent Kompany's side, arguably the strongest team in Europe this season, produced a masterclass in the first half and could have been several goals ahead. Instead, they had only one from Diaz, which Kane added to after the interval. But French superstar Mbappe's goal kept Alvaro Arbeloa's side in the tie. That's a wrap for the news at 12. Please follow us on all our social media platforms at MITV Plus on Facebook, at MITV Plus _NG on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Thank you for watching. I'm Sebastian Salifu. Good afternoon.